Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server for Alpha Strike, and it's time to have a look at the naval stuff that is around the place. There isn't anything for America, Germany, or Russia yet, but for Britain, there is a premium HMS Diamond. This is actually a daring class, so joins a few other fleets, a few other fleet pieces which are very similar to it. You can see here you got the Diana from the daring class and also the daring from the daring class. Both of these are 4.7 and the Diamond is 4.3. Not really sure why. I'm guessing its PR will be changed because it's basically the same. So, the HMS Diamond has the 3 dual-mounted 4.5-inch guns, the rapid-fire 4.5 inches from post-World War II from the British. It's from 1958, this specific one, and it also has some 40mm on it, and torpedoes, which don't have a lot of arc on them once again, which is one of the travesties of many of these British destroyers. The 40mm though, it has 2 dual-mounted ones, so you can see 2 on these sides, then it also has a dual-mounted one back here, so 6 overall. These 4.5-inch guns, they have a very good fire rate of 20 rounds per minute, meaning that you can just continuously fire over and over and over again, and the only issue I've ever found from this daring class set is they ammo rack quite easily, basically because of all of this here, so you do have to worry about that. The vehicle itself is very good though, it's just not a 4.3. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 4.7, but we'll find out later on if that's the case. It has access to HE, has access to SAP, has access to HETF, and then also has access to HEVT, which is quite nice. Overall just has a lot of stuff which is going around for it, so that to me is quite good. Hopefully it will have a good time. So the 533mm too are still there, which is quite nice, so not too shabby at all. Then you have for Japan the Mutu. So this is a Nagato class. It's from 1922, and this vehicle has access to something that no other ship has in the game. It has 16-inch guns. It has 4 dual-mounted 410mm, which are 6-inch guns, and setting up, which is quite nice. You can see here that it has 2 sets or 2 mounts of each on the front and the back, and then also has 20 140mm turrets, also 4 3-inch cannons as well. All of the 100mm or 140mm, I should say, are all in blisters. You can kind of see them here, and then also on the other side too. The good old 3-inch mounts are in the center here, the AA guns that are around the place. You also have some torpedoes, but I'm sure not many people will use the torpedoes. They're over here, and then also over here at the standard setup. Then you have the transmissions, the engines, the massive funnels as well, and of course the fire director that is here. They have actually changed how that works, and I'll show it in a different video now, where it actually shows you the angle of the enemy ship and also your shots landing around the enemy ship, which I find really cool, and a little kind of hood change. The armor on this, you have 304mm across, and then also above 228 and 76.2. And the rounds themselves, it gets an SAPC-BC with 340 to 305, 256mm a pen, and nearly 50 kilos worth of TNT equivalent. And then the actual armor piercing has 16 kilos of TNT equivalent, and also pen 732mm, which is just nuts. This thing will go through everything and just make it mincemeat, which will be crazy. So not too bad at the end of the day. Will do quite a lot of work, and then also has access to a SAP round for the 140mm. Moving on from the Mutu, by the way, is at the right-hand line after the Congo. You have Italy, so you have a Balzano. So the Balzano is a Trento class, which is why it's incredibly long. You can see here that it is pretty crazy, and it's at the same BR as the Trento. The major difference between it is the secondary armaments, where the Trento has 6 100mm, the Balzano has 8 dual-mounted 100mm, and then it also has 2 40mm, 2 dual 37s, and then 4 dual 13.2s, plus the torpedoes too. So even though this is a Trento class, and is after the Trento in the tech tree, you can see it right here, the actual vehicle itself has way more armament than the Trento, just in a secondary form. So its main guns are the same. They're still the same 4 dual 203s that you'll be used to. I've actually had issues with them recently doing damage, but overall it's not too bad. You know, they do well at the end of the day, 4 203s. And you have the HE, the APHE BC, and also the HETF, the same rounds that you find on the 203mm. Then you have the torpedoes, the SI-270s, really don't have great travel distance on them, unfortunately. It does have a hydroplane, which is kind of cool. You can see it in the center here, so you get to launch that at the same time. But yeah, it's just another Trento, nothing really to write home about, so just something a little bit interesting. France then has 2 ships, starting off with the Kber. Now the Kber is a German destroyer, which I'm guessing France got after the war, since this is from 1952, and it has the standard 128mm that you see on a lot of German destroyers. Only has 4 single mounts, which is why it's a 4.0. So 2 on the front and then 2 on the back. It also has access to 6 40mm Bofors guns, so a lot of AA support on this one, plus some flak veerlings, so 1 20mm quad mount and then 2 dual 20mm as well. You can see the quad mount here on the back. And then also it has some torpedoes, the G7As, which are the same ones you see on all German destroyers. So this is another French-German destroyer. This one is probably better than the other one. The other one Amaraks really easily, and also is a higher BR. Generally doesn't feel too good. And then also at the same time, you have the 40mm belts, and for the 128mm, you have HE, and then you have the HE with a base fuse, and then HETF. So nothing too crazy to set up there. The G7A torpedo also, as I said, isn't exactly the best. It can definitely be outdone by a lot of other ones around the place, but still should be completely fine. Still should be set up, and everything should be good. The last vehicle is the Brittan. Now, the Brittan is, guess what, part of the Brittan class. This is from 1925, and we already have one in the game, the Lorraine. The Lorraine actually is part of the Brittan class, and the major difference is the Lorraine is from 1944, so it has the additional AA armaments, the 40mm, the 20mm, whereas the Brittan does not. It only gets 5 of the dual-mounted 340mm cannons, and also 18 of the 138.6mm cannons that you can see in these blisters over here. You also have 4 single-mounted 75mm, which are technically AA guns, but they're really not very useful for it, which is why a lot of these machines have a ton of 20s, a ton of 40s on them. But yeah, the Brittan is not, since this was before air power kind of took over in the standard setup. So yeah, you get another battleship for France. It's very similar to what you've seen before, but also will give at least a nice little additional thing to look at. You have 250mm of belt armor plus 160 and 230. Then the front of the turrets are 300mm all around, 236 for the ammo elevators, and a little bit on top too. The guns are the 340s. This means that they have the HE, which has 34.4 kilos of explosive mass. Then you have the APC, which pens nearly 500mm with 24 kilos of TNT equivalent. And then also an APC BC, which has 24 kilos of TNT equivalent with nearly 500mm of damage too. So both of these are very good rounds to be able to use kind of going forward. You have the ammo wetting as well, and also some general other parts which are nice. The 1909R torpedoes are terrible, so there is absolutely no point in using these because they only travel 2 kilometers, which kind of sucks. But overall, a nice machine to see. and hopefully will be useful for a lot of people. It's generally a vehicle it's generally a tech tree that a lot of people don't really want to kind of set up on because of the fact that there isn't a ton in it. And as they add more and more stuff, hopefully people kind of reignite their passion with France, and you can get a bunch of the destroyers, cruisers, and battleships sorted overall. So that's the naval component for this update so far. A lot of quite nice, but a lot of stuff which is quite nice, but not the massive amount that I'm sure some people are wanting. The 410mm have a fire rate of 2.4 rounds per minute, so that's obviously something to be interested in. Look after yourselves, peace be with you, and bye-bye. I'd like to thank Schnitzel Stroker, Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, B. Young, Opium Prime, Masonocrat, Lafouche, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.